IMF commends President Tinubu's reform policies as the National Economic Council gives ultimatum to 3 states to take a stand on the state police proposal. External borrowing windows remain open for the federal government as Senate approves $2.2 billion loan request. Meanwhile, doors closed against the bill seeking single term of 6 years for the office of president and state governors at the House of Representatives. We have this and more, including an agenda-setting session for the governor-elect of Ondo State. This is Political Update. Welcome to the game. I'm Fisaya Ogunfuyi. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has commended President Bola Tinubu's administration for various reforms embarked upon to reposition Nigeria's economy for the better. It was when the IMF Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, visited President Tinubu on the sidelines of the just concluded G20 Leaders Summit in Rio de Janeiro.
Area for technical support that they are offering is in the area of our fiscal, monetary, and structural reforms. The third area is in the area where they can help us to create more fiscal space and then helping us to then attract more concessionary funding from different development partners. Because when you have higher fiscal space, then you can actually do more. And the fourth area is in helping us with our borrowing policies so that we can borrow at a cheaper cost and that the benefits of the borrowing can be felt in the economy by everybody.
Still on the economy, the National Economic Council has given 1-week ultimatum to Adamawa, Kebbi, and Kwara, as well as the Federal Capital Territory, to submit the state police status reports to the council, as 33 states have submitted. The council also received presentations on power, agriculture, among other issues at the council's meeting Thursday.
That 33 states have submitted their positions, while 3 states are yet to do so, and resolved to present a consolidated state's position on the state police to the National Economic Council at our next meeting.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria's Governors Forum says the various economic reforms embarked upon by the Tinubu's presidency is setting new standards and priorities for achieving robust recovery and the growth of key sectors. This came to the fore during an extraordinary session that brought together other top-notch issues on the table seeking solutions for rapid development of the country.
Place their support to the initiative and affirm their commitment actively engage in shaping amendments that strengthen the Nigerian Constitution.
We're going to be visiting their states and the geopolitical zones to advise the opinion of the public from them that we have received about 161 areas to amend in the Constitution.
All right, so we are being joined now by our guests, and that is the former head of Department of Mass Communication at Adekunle Ajasin University at Akungba Akoko, that's Dr. Gbenga Abimbola. Doctor, we had some conversations in the course of last week because of course, the momentum then was dragging to the Alagbaka government house in Akure. But let's start first from national. You're a lecturer, of course, from the academia. You're looking at some of, the initiatives of the current administration. Of course, some belt-tightening initiatives as well and policies as well. But what would be your word, for instance, to the governors as well in terms of cascading some of these policies to ensure that society remains on an even keel?
Thank you, Fisayo. And we also thank you and your colleagues for the job you did in Ondo State last week. Talking about Nigeria, ours is a country that is going through a very difficult period. Difficult in the sense that this administration inherited a very critical economy from the past government. And this forced the new administration to place certain reforms. And the effects of the reforms have been very, very harsh on the citizens, biting so hard to the extent that instead of more people to be lifted from the poverty line, more people are being subjected or pushed back to the poverty line or even below the poverty line. Well, we know that in anything, before there is no gain without pain, but it's as if the pains are becoming so unbearable. But we have to understand something, that what we needed to do many years back and we failed to do is what we are now doing. So that is why the pain is more severe. We just have to bear with this government. But government itself must note that whatever it is doing, the goal of governance is welfare of the citizens. And so whatever can be done to cushion the effect should be done. And that is why the governors are also intervening, coming in the Economic Council, discussing various programs. Even the federal government is still borrowing because the purse is lean. And I want to advise that all that we can do is to make sure that we go back to production. We go back to real production instead of mere consumption, because this consumption has never helped us in this country. So until we begin to produce at micro level and at macro levels, at the individual levels, at group levels, private investors, government investment, it is then we can begin to produce. And the cheapest production we can invest in now should be in the agri and agro economy. If we go into agri, we have the land resource, we have the natural resource, so we need to encourage people, we need to invest massively in food production, because the number one challenge for Nigerians now is hunger. It's how to put food on the table for the family. I think that is what we should begin to look at now very deeply, so that all other things will begin to fall in place. Because a hungry man, they say, is an angry man. All the same, we have to bear with government, but government must know that whatever it can do to make sure that we begin to produce food, produce more food, and now produce other raw material that we can export. It is then that our economy will begin to pick up, so that the suffering, the pains that we have gone through can now become a thing of the past very soon.
And, let's talk about security a little bit, because of course some of the things you have said, production can only be optimized, especially in the hinterlands, if security is beefed up. You saw in that report that 3 states are yet to submit their their police proposals. With have the states like Adamawa, Kebbi, Kwara, and of course the FCT. At that level, first of all, I think state governors should begin to also take responsibility, especially in terms of security in their environment, even if it's in terms of the reporting system, knowing that it's giving forewarning on time, so that the agencies involved can bring up their own structures to make sure that some of these cases of incidences of insecurity can be nipped in the bud.
Thank you very much. I think it's a step in the right direction. It's one of the good policies of the Tinubu administration, that what succeeding administrations had failed to do, Tinubu had taken a bold step to say, let's go back and look at the issue of the state police. I think with the hindsight of history, we should go back and look at what happened during the First Republic, immediately after we got independence, even before independence and during independence. We had our policing was well structured alongside true federalism, because that time we had the federal government headquartered in Lagos, and we had a few states or regions, and those federating units were very powerful, autonomous, semi-autonomous, to the extent that they could control their resources, including security. They could manage security. They had state police and also local government police. This is the way to go. As we say, politics is both national and local. Security is also both national and local. There is no way one single police command can secure this country. And we have tried it for more than 30 years now, or 40 years. It has not worked. Why don't we go back? And that is why the Tinubu government is saying, let's go back to state police. I want to encourage that whatever can be done to make sure that it is not just in the realm of proposal or planning, that execution comes into the fore. So the governors that are dragging feet, they should be reminded that whatever they do now will be a history in the future, because their people are the receiving end. The insecurity is biting more at the state government, the residents, the poverty of the states, not even the federal government. So I think the governors should do more to it is the governors that should be pressurizing the federal government for the state police, not the other way around. So I'm happy that more governors have turned in their proposals and their templates. Please, the security architecture of Nigeria, of the federal government and the state, they should swing into action very soon, and let's begin to experiment
Of
the state
course,
police.
there's another school of thought based on, some of the political dynamics that we've seen in different states. When this, authority gets to the state level, it could also be devised as a political machinery against opposition. But that will get there when we get to that bridge. When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. But let's move on very quickly to some other stories. I will come back to Dr. Abimbola joining us from Akungba Akoko, and the meat of the matter will be getting to Ondo State quite soon in the course of the program. Senate approves federal government's request to implement the $2.2 billion external borrowing to fund the part of the 2024 budget deficit. National Assembly correspondent Lamali reports that about this and some other proceedings in Thursday's plenary.
The approval follows adoption of recommendations of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts as contained in its report. The $2.2 billion, totaling 1.7 trillion naira, would be used to partially fund the 9.7 trillion naira deficit in the 2024 fiscal year.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has rejected a bill seeking single term of 6 years for the office of the President and state governors. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ekpo spoke about this, and of course, President Tinubu's request for new external borrowing plan as captured in the past report.
Not an easy sale for the 6 years single-term presidency bill that proposed rotational presidency among the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria and the conduct of general elections on a single day. The bill, sponsored by 34 lawmakers, suffered defeat without a debate on the floor when put to a voice vote by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas.
That a bill for an act to alter the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended to be read for a second time, I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I rise to second this great motion. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The nays have it.
Now going to Ondo State now, INEC has presented certificates of return to the winner of the November 16 Ondo State governorship election, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, and the APC, as well as the Deputy Governor-elect, Olaide Wulabi Adelami. INEC Commissioner Professor Kunle Ajayi presided over the brief ceremony at the INEC headquarters in Abuja.
Across the 18 local government agencies, where we won convincingly, it has placed a burden on me to be able to serve you better than I have in the last 10 months.
Meanwhile, stakeholders in Ondo State are calling on the governor and governor-elects, as well as incumbent Governor Aiyedatiwa, to establish the framework for harnessing the abundant natural resources, including oil, gas, cocoa, and other untapped agricultural potentials to boost the gross domestic product of the state. They spoke to our correspondent, Ifeoluwa Omoshule.
The state, known as the Sunshine State, is richly endowed with mineral resources including quartz sand, clay, granite, limestone, coal, columbite, and bitumen, the second largest deposit in the world. The state is also an oil and gas producing state. In agriculture, Ondo leads as Nigeria's largest cocoa producer and grows other cash crops such as rubber, cashew, kola nuts, and palm oil. However, despite these abundant resources, the state's gross domestic product stands $12.63 billion, a stark contrast to Lagos State, which generates $102.01 billion. With the re-election of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, some residents are optimistic about a shift in governance that prioritizes resource utilization. They believe harnessing these assets could improve living standards, particularly for the youth, by creating employment opportunities. They also suggest that the government should leverage the state's youth population for economic transformation by implementing strategies to fully utilize these resources. Residents have also urged the government to collaborate with investors to exploit the state's untapped potentials, emphasizing the importance of reviving moribund industries like Oluwa Glass and others to stimulate economic growth.
All right, we apologize for the loss of audio in parts of that report, but Dr. Abimbola is right here. You listen to what reporter brought back from talking to a cross-section of people in Akure, most especially, and talking about the, gross domestic product of the state based on its potentials and perhaps transiting from concept to actuality now. Bitumen, second largest deposit in the world. Oil and gas is right there in the Elijah and Esodo axis. We have cocoa in abundance, Idonri, Leluji, Kegu, and the rest of them. What would be your word now to Governor-elect Lucky Aiyedatiwa beyond the display of certificate of return?
Thank you very much. Governor Aiyedatiwa came to power by circumstance. He was the deputy governor, and he assumed office as governor last December when his boss, the late Governor Akeredolu, died. And so one could understand within that the circumstances that led to his assumption of power, it was even, those circumstances were controversial at that time, because he was battling with impeachment that was hanging on his neck until he finally got over it and he became governor. And so if we could excuse him in the last 10 months or 11 months for what he did not do, not so any longer. Now that he had been duly elected, he had been given mandate as the chief executive to run Ondo State beginning from February 2025 to be sworn in again as the governor. He had taken oath last year. Now, I think he now has what we call the rest of mandate, the strength of mandate, the power of mandate to drive Ondo State. Now, what should he do? He should understand that the greatest challenge in every home in Nigeria now is food, hunger. And luckily, according to his own name, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, Ondo State is blessed with all the three climates we have in Nigeria. From the extreme of a group swampy to the savannah side, Ondo State has all the climate, the land, everything that favors agriculture. So I think the governor should do something. Government cannot directly invest in agri, but government can help the youth to get involved in agri by creating farm centers, clusters, where the youth could be given some money in terms of a facility, loan, to drive, to farm, produce food. And the marketability, government should work it out with the Ministry of Agri. If this is done in the next few months, there are some crops that under 6 months, they grow. Under 3 months, they grow. Under 1 year, we begin to see the effect. Instead of looking at those natural resources that we'll be talking about environmental impact, for bitumen to be extracted, for iron ore to be extracted, for all those big resources to be extracted, you need to conduct environmental impact assessment and you need to look for serious investors. But for agri, you can do it at cottage level, at micro level. This is the first thing the governor should look at. Number two, I think the governor should know that he is now the governor of Ondo State. And even as he has been, he is not the governor of APC. He is a governor for APC, for PDP, for Labour Party, for every party. Now politics is gone. This is the time to start governance and to focus on governance. The governor himself said it, that he will look for the right people to be in his cabinet, regardless of their party affiliations. We'll be looking forward to that, to seeing how he should translate his words into action. Then we also want to alert the governor that there is deplorable state of infrastructure. Roads, for example. We need more. Government must intervene. So there are many areas that government should begin to intervene in this season. But it is not all the sectors that government can take at the same time. But the governor should prioritize and forget about politics, focus on governance, and deliver the goods, because the mandate that has been given to him is huge, and to whom much is given, much is expected, or much
Dr.
is required.
Dr. Abimbola, before I let you go, you said it's the governor. It's not only the governor of APC, it's the governor of PDP, but for another parties. But for PDP and NNPP, they have gone to the court. They say no, as far as they are concerned, this is not their governor. But in your take, should all our processes end in court, or what should we be doing to at least resolve some of these issues so that candidates or politicians don't keep money first for elections, then later keep some aside also for court proceedings?
The question you asked, the answer is it shouldn't. Not all our electoral processes should end up in court. It is very saddening that in Nigeria as a whole, almost every election is disputed, whether at the primary level or at the general election level. But can we stop anybody from going to court? No, it is their inalienable right. For example, if you participate in a contest and in your own opinion, you felt that you have been shortchanged, seek redress in court. The court is the only one that can pronounce, that can affirm your claim or disapprove your claim. So let us give the PDP and the NNPP that right to travel that route. But the truth is that we thank God we are developing in this country. Though slowly. We have had elections in Ondo State 8 years ago when Akeredolu defeated Jegede, who was the main challenger. So he didn't go to court, but 4 years ago he went to court. So that is just to let you know how far people can decide to go to court or not to go to court. Now, in 2014, the then President Jonathan was defeated. He did not go to court. So, but last year, Vice President Atiku and Governor Peter Obi were defeated. They went to court. It's just showing us that we cannot say we are not progressing. Anybody who wants to go to court, let them go to court. But whether the NNPP, PDP are in court or not, the governor is a governor for everybody, including those who have taken him to court. So until the court decides otherwise, he is still the governor and the governor-elect. He should treat everybody as citizens of Ondo State who are to benefit from the services his government is constitutionally empowered to render.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abimbola. Gbenga Abimbola of the Mass Communication Department, University of Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba, Akoko, talking to us live from Akungba, and of course, we thank you for your interventions. We'll still come back to you maybe before the end of the year in terms of setting an agenda, especially for next year in your state. You gave an allusion that you were not particularly impressed with those 10 months, and now you're expecting more. From your governor. We hope that you will hit the ground running since he's governor and governor-elect. Many thanks to Dr. Abimbola. And for you also for watching the program for today. We'll be back again on Tuesday, same time. But between now and then, play your politics for the greater good and keep it locked on Africa's finest and largest, Nigerian Television Authority, for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.